There is a question nobody is asking, that nobody has bothered to ask for the last 5 to 10 years. Everybody's outraged, though. Everybody's caught up in their emotions. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the Durham probe. This guy that looked into the Russia collusion investigation, said it was totally improper, should never happen. All this stuff, and everybody loses their mind, depending on what side of the argument you're on. Some people said, well, it was always a nothing burger. Some have said, well, something needs to be done. All I can say is there's a question nobody has asked, primarily because everybody involved, all the talking heads, are all caught up in their emotions because they haven't thought about this clearly, and they have kind of a short memory. And we're going to cover that in today's video. Also, just want to be diligent. I want to make sure that I always take the time to say thank you to everyone who takes time out of their day to watch the videos, to participate in the conversation. I very much appreciate you guys. Those of you who have stepped up over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, where it's only $1 a month, thank you so much. That is absolutely amazing of you guys to step up, help out, keep the channel going, give me the ability to have parity against the censors. And those of you at the $5 level, you guys are beyond amazing. It's just unreal how many have stepped up at that level. And we're going to have a video for you guys too coming up here next 24 to 36 hours. And we're going to kind of touch on a couple of topics today. But of course, the $1 level, that's where all the training is. That's where all the psychological operations training is. That's where the main course of the channel goes. But we do have a $5 level. That's the next step up. So it's entirely up to you what you can, what you can't afford. All of you absolutely are the most amazing people. I just can't even put it into words. It's fully refundable first 90 days. No questions asked. Partnering with Vimeo. No Google censors. No prying eyes. So would love to have you over there. Now, real quick, right off the top, I want to start off with something positive, something encouraging, something helpful. I'm sure a lot of you are fans of Southern Prepper 1. He's here on YouTube, has been for a long time. He's from the old school, Patriot Nurse crowd, Lisa Haven crowd, going way, 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 way back to the beginning of the Obama administration. He has a fantastic video out, just put out yesterday, I think it was, turning a shed into a tiny home to survive what is coming, or room for some help at your house. Now, I'm a little ambivalent on the whole tiny house thing. I have a 10 by 12 shed that I built over in my side yard here. So I know a little bit about what it takes to set one of these up, put a foundation down, the kind of space inside, what it takes. Does it beat being in a FEMA camp? Yes. Does it beat tactically camping and living outside? Yes. Above that, you would really have to pay attention to what the situation was. Because even if you could inside, it's only 3/4 OSB on the outside, and that's it. I mean, you might have 3/4 OSB, you might have some R12, R19 insulation, and maybe somebody will have put some sheetrock on the inside to finish it. But if somebody doesn't want to go through your locked front door on one of these, it's not hard to punch through the side. It's a great shed. Mine has all of my outdoor stuff, and has a nice shingled roof. So yeah, it definitely beats being outside. But just plopping one of these things down on some empty lot, yes, it would beat being out in the weather, but long-term solution, how you would do septic. It's something that Southern Prepper 1 brings up. How would you do septic? I mean, you could probably rig some type of a gravity-fed shower system and some type of a rudimentary crude drain. But to deal with just like washing dishes, water, washing hands, or maybe even taking a shower, but even then with the soap and stuff and everything else. But sanitary sewer would be a problem. You would have to somehow figure out how you would attach this into a tile system. And usually you have to grade so that there's drainage, so that things drain away. So if you did plop one of these on, say, some back huge piece of property, and there was already a standing establishment, you would be sharing your septic with all of these people. So that's just something. But it's a great piece. I'm not taking away from anything that Southern Prepper 1 talks about. It is a really good job. But I think that would be the big stopping language to it being a long-term solution. But anyway, let's get to the main points. This whole thing with Durham and Strzok and Mueller and all this crap, it reminded me of something. I never brought it up, but you'd have to be probably a little bit older to remember. It'd have to have been an adult when it was going on. Now, you ready for a blast from the past? This is what it reminded me of. See, people are all outraged and all upset and all bent out of shape about somebody looking into possible Trump-Russia collusion, and then there being nothing there, a nothing burger there. These same people had absolutely no problem looking into this, to my mind, I hate to say it, I know I'm going to get a lot of trouble with Christians here, almost justifiable affair that Bill Clinton was having with Monica Lewinsky, married to one of the most evil, nasty harpies that has ever made her way into politics. I felt so sorry for this man being married to her, Hillary. I didn't blame him at all to just get a little bit of solace, a little bit of time with a sweet, nice, pretty adult, mind you, adult. She was college age, young woman who was very willingly involved with him. There's nothing but, man, the time and money and effort that was spent by those on the right to look into this, to make a big deal out of this, compared to what just went down, there's absolutely no difference. And I just want to play a clip real quick. For those of you that still want to label Bill Clinton as some evil, terrible leader compared to what we have now.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there with their jaw on the floor right now. Many people have forgotten 1996, 1995. Because rightfully, it was 27 years ago. It was more than a quarter century ago. You see, people have selective memories. They really do. They let time go by, and somebody they don't want to like, they only remember the negatives. A speech like, if Trump had given a speech like that, there would be people hollering and running up and down the aisles and chanting, USA, USA, MAGA, MAGA, make America great again. Bill Clinton makes a speech like that, it's going to be nothing but excuses. But Florida Marquis, you mentioned a question nobody had asked. Here's the question. Isn't it reasonable for countries around the world to have an input into who the leadership of the USA is? Now, before I get a whole bunch of people typing, no, that's only for American citizens. Wait a minute. There's something you guys talk about all the time. All the time. You guys, meaning conservatives, Trump supporters. Something you guys have held on to like a pit bull. and it contradicts your opinion about whether or not there should be foreign input into our elections. What's that? Well, who remembers the Bretton Woods Agreement? You see, originally the Bretton Woods Agreement was that gold would be the basis for the U.S. dollar. And then the U.S. dollar would be the world reserve currency. And then all other currencies would have their value pegged as a percentage of whatever the U.S. dollar was. But the dollar was always pegged to gold. But wait a minute. We went off the gold standard. What's the value of the dollar based on now? The dollar is no longer tied to gold. What's it based on? Federal Reserve notes are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. So now, all currencies around the world have their value based on the full faith and credit of the U.S. government only. So that having been said, you could make the argument that these leaders of these other major countries, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, Russia, and even Venezuela and Iran, that they have as much of an interest into who is setting monetary policy in this country as the average citizen does. In fact, I would make the allegation those countries have a greater interest in who is sitting in control in Washington, D.C. Why? Because based on those decisions, the value of their currencies and their economies are directly affected by the Bretton Woods Agreement. Because gold's not involved anymore. It is only the full faith and credit in the U.S. government. Why? And the reason I bring this up is there was there was this attempt to influence elections. Why shouldn't there be? Why shouldn't there be? Especially South America, Mexico, Brazil, especially Venezuela. Huge interest into who is sitting behind that desk. It's going to affect their entire country, their entire economies. These decisions, in fact, and this is going to probably make a lot of people mad, to the average American, the real difference in your life starts at your governor's mansion, not in Washington, D.C. Case in point, lockdown. Quick show of hands. During lockdown, would you rather have been living in, on the left, Texas, Florida, nor North Dakota, or would you rather have been living in California, Michigan, or New York? You see, it didn't matter who the president was. It did not matter who the president was during lockdown 2020, 2021, nothing changed. What changed was the governors. And I guarantee, I know there's a lot of Trump people out there, DeSantis didn't really do. Yeah, he did. Ask any Floridian. It's why we have millions more people here now than we did in 2019. Why we surpassed New York in population. Why now Florida has $20 billion in surplus in our state coffers, and California is $38 billion in the hole. There's a $58 billion difference between Florida and California, with California being nearly twice the size. Fifth largest economy in the entire world, and they're $38 billion in debt. Florida, which was supposed to be death sentence to sanctimonies, we have a $20 billion surplus sitting in our state bank accounts because of the decisions made by Governor DeSantis. Texas and North Dakota not far behind us. See, this is what matters to the average American. This is what matters to the world. Who is sitting in the chair? I mean, we got Operation Warp Speed and the pushing of the jabs and all that kind of stuff, and the ventilators. Who saw the most recent study about the ventilators actually killing people, causing them to get bacterial pneumonia? Anybody read that? That happened under Trump's watch, the big push for the ventilators. See, this multipolar world you keep hearing about, There's a reason. There's a reason, because monetary, and here's the part that's absolutely crazy. We lurch from far left to far right, from far left to far right every 8 years. How in the world could any other country even try to keep up? With what direction? This country is so deeply divided, philosophically and belief-wise, that I don't know that there's much coming back from it, to be honest. And then at some point, there's going to have to be, a reckoning. People forget. People forget how big a deal was made over this nothing burger relationship. There were a lot of us like, oh, who cares? I mean, seriously, who cares? I lost a lot of respect. I mean, a lot of the respect that I lost for the National Republican Party came during these years. It's like, big deal. The guy has the right attitude on immigration. Compared to now, compared to Obama, compared to Hillary, compared to Joe Biden, compared to everybody else, this guy'd be a hero. Isn't it odd that he spent 20, 25 years best buddies with Trump? I mean, Trump had Stormy Daniels and Clinton had Lewinsky. Man and woman. I don't remember anybody being confused about men and women during the Clinton administration. I really don't. Do you? Do you remember? Back in the 90s, was anybody confused about what their identity was or where they... It was a different world. It was a completely different world. So, anyway, the outrage, seen the government waste a lot of money and a lot of time on things that were a lot less serious. So, anyway, I'll leave it there. But once again, God bless y'all. I very, very much appreciate it. Making a huge difference in my life. I know $1 doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but when people act in numbers and people act as a group, the whole where we go one, where we go all, it makes a huge difference. And I very much appreciate it. I'm humbled by it. God bless all of you. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.